So yeah, after that ceremony, I think in the morning, we had an integration ceremony about the previous ayahuasca experience. And obviously after not experiencing anything, and I'm a little bit confused, but I've got a little bit more clarity now because I've done my tarot reading, I've had the Sapo experience. As we're all going around, one of the girls must have mentioned the word rejected. And as soon as she said rejected, I start crying because I realized the experience that I've had with ayahuasca up until this point, I felt like the spirit was rejecting me. I didn't feel like I was good enough. And then it made me realize that this is how I feel in life. This is how I feel towards my mother. This is how I feel regarding certain friendships that I've had in the past. I felt rejected, and then I felt like the series of events that happened after that, it was me coming to terms with that and me healing it and releasing that feeling. Now the next ceremony that I had, it was a little bit visual. I was hallucinating a little bit, I guess you could call it that. And I met my spirit guides. Like that was like the best thing that I took from this next experience and the whole experience when I was in the jungle. Like, I always speak to my spirit guides, I talk to the universe, I have a relationship with life. And there was a moment when I was purging, I was throwing up, and I had my eyes closed, and there was this being that I could see so clearly in my mind's eye, and I wasn't even sure if my eyes were open or closed at this point. But I'm gonna have to draw it. I'm gonna have to draw you, Frederick. Frederick had my back. No discrimination now, okay? Don't hate on my spirit guide. Frederick looked like this. So I see like this being, and he had like long arms and stuff. As I'm throwing up, he's got so much love and compassion and care for me. He's just like stroking my back, like thinking everything's okay. And I'm like, over there, sit back in it. Opening my eyes, there's nothing there, okay? Okay, I fuck with it. At this point, my body is kind of having its own life. My face is twitching, like my body is like just low-key twitching. I feel like I store a lot of emotional baggage in my face, and all I was thinking about as this process was happening is, I don't understand this, but it feels right. That's the only way I can explain it. I feel like the jungle was a very masculine energy, and not that there's anything wrong with masculinity, but I feel like I didn't really fit into a lot of the people. I just felt a little bit lost, and I felt like I couldn't be myself. I feel like in order to get over things and to like really like purge or like release something, you should be able to talk about it. But when you have loads of people, which I feel like people should bear in mind as well, is to not put too much expectation on people and situations. I feel like one thing that I didn't really think about is that everybody is going through their own experience, and sometimes people don't have the time to hear your experience or to care about your experience. And yeah, I did 4 ceremonies in the jungle. The third experience was probably the most visual. The 4th ceremony was very interesting. There was a lot of internal dialogue going on between myself, between my ego, and between my conscious. And taking on from the Sapo ceremony, when I felt myself like going into this hell place, I think, and I just need to say as well, one of the girls, she's such a beautiful soul. Like, I really connected with this girl called Coriel. And basically, Coriel has been through a lot of shit in her life. She had, I guess, a lot of internal demons that she needed to confront. And as like, I laid next to her both in the Sapo and the Ayahuasca ceremony, and Coriel, bless her, she looks like she's being possessed when she's on it. She's like scratching the thing, like it's like low-key scary. So at this point, I'm like, after I've done the Sapo, I'm like, I need to face my demons, yeah? Bearing in mind as well, my biggest fear is ghosts, demons, ghoulies, all of these things, because I tend to think, or I tend to have thought, that you don't have any control over those situations. So yeah, that would have been my scariest thing to deal with. So after the Sapo ceremony, going into this 4th ceremony, which is the 4th and the last ceremony, and at this point as well, you're allowed to change the dosage, how much you have in the cup. So on the 4th ceremony, I'm on a full dose. And basically, the dialogue that I'm having with myself at this point is very fucking, how do I say it? It is very disturbing. So I basically, because of Coriel's experience and because of other people's experience, everyone's shouting out, everybody's on their own trip at this point. Because of this, I'm now thinking, because I stopped myself going into hell, yeah, I'm now having a conversation with myself, thinking that it's appropriate for me to be possessed. I'm thinking, okay, in order for me to like work through my problems in life, I feel like I need to be possessed by an entity, and I need to fight off this entity from like a deep place within in order to get, like, to not be scared of anything else in my life, because that's my biggest fear. And then I'm thinking all of these things. I'm like, wait, hold up now. Could you imagine I get possessed and then that something never leaves me, and then I'm like got this negative weight on my shoulders for the rest of my life? Then I start thinking, I'm so scared of ghosts and demons. Like, why would I ever wish this upon myself? And as well, one thing to bear in mind is that there's nothing that you should be afraid of apart from yourself. Things cannot affect you unless you give things permission to affect you. So then I'm sitting there thinking, like, is this me or is this my ego? Is this what I actually need or is this what I think I need? And after going back and forth with this internal dialogue within myself, I remember reading somewhere before that you should always follow your feelings. Our feelings are a compass that are here to guide us towards what is right and what's wrong. And basically what it says is, when you are feeling negative emotions, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling upset, or when you're feeling hurt, these are all your emotional compass steering you away from those feelings. This is how I'm feeling, but what can I do to take me back to being happy and me being content? And I was just like, how do I feel right now? How do I feel right now? And I felt sick. And I was like, that's not a good sign. This isn't me. This is my ego. Put that to a side. I am not going to be possessed today. And that was a very empowering moment for me. So basically, that was like the last ceremony. Yeah, it was just an amazing experience. Like, I would have rated the jungle a 7 out of 10, 100%. Now, there was only 3 of us that went on to go to the Sacred Valley. The Sacred Valley is like a whole different part of Peru. You have to go get a plane to Iquitos to Cusco, and then from there it's like an hour drive to the Sacred Valley retreat. Now, this place was a completely different vibe. Like, in the jungle, you've got the very masculine presence. It was very egotistical in some senses. It was very rough. That's the only, like, not in, it was just rough. It wasn't very nurturing. It was very, like, hardcore, like, jungle living, like, do you know what I mean? Like, hardcore stuff. When we went over to Sacred Valley, now, honey, different vibes completely. Most of the facilitators were women, and I just got such a feminine, loving, nurturing vibe off of everyone. The vibe of the people was so different. It was so relaxing. I felt like in this place I can be myself. Like, I can let go. I feel like I'm in a trusting space. Yeah, I felt very comfortable. I felt very at home, and the food and the drink in the Sacred Valley just was nothing compared to the jungle. Like, it was like a breath of fresh air. Now we get to the Sacred Valley, and I'm now just going to speak about the last ceremony that happened for me. I had a breakthrough on the 17th of June. The 17th of June. It was also a full moon, so before the ceremony I did a mini full moon ritual. And for those of you that don't know, moon, sun, stars, planets, everything in the universe, me and you, the sofa, everything that we have in this life is energy. And basically, a full moon ceremony or a new moon ceremony, the energies that the moon has, it enhances the likelihood of things getting done. I had like 3 main intentions coming out into Peru. One was to face my fears, one was to remove any emotional baggage that I have holding me back, and the other one was to remove any blockages holding me back in life. So Monday the 17th, with a new set of people. These people have never tried ayahuasca before, so they're experiencing it for the first time. We knew what they was in for, that's all I'm gonna say. And the previous day I met this lovely guy. His name is Tom, and Tom is an Aries. And I just have to say this because my mum is an Aries as well, and Tom is like 60 something years old. He's a psychologist. He's very like conformative. He's very conformed, like very respectable. That's how he came across, and obviously he's a doctor as well. Bless him. So anyway, so the first day, Tom is sat next to me. We've all taken our drinks. It's been like 45 minutes into the session. Fucking hell. Tom sat there, all of a sudden, out of nowhere. Mama! Mama! No! Mama! I thought I was ready! I thought I was ready! Help! Help! Somebody help me! I'm just like, for fuck's sake, Tom, be quiet. And didn't say that. I said it in my head. Then he's got the facilitators coming over. They've always said that if you're having a bad trip, make sure you sit upright, make sure you're breathing, and you cleanse your energy. Like, you come back into yourself. You come back into control. Everyone's rushing over to him. He's shouting. He's screaming, "Mama! Tiger! Tiger!" It was all very strange. Now, in this point, I'm just, like, sat next to Tom. I'm fucking angry now. Like, and my intention going into this one ceremony was to get to the root of my emotions. At this point, Tom is reminding me of my mum. He is attention seeking. This is in my perspective. He's attention seeking. He's not taking advice. He's only caring about himself in the situation. He doesn't care for anybody else's experience. He's just being very, what's the word? He's being very unconsiderate, a bit self-centered, and he was just reminding me of my mum. And I just said to him at some point, I was like, "Tom, the only person that can help you right now is you. Sit up and breathe." He wouldn't do that. So now I'm feeling this, it felt like molten rock in my heart, like anger, so much anger. And then the effects of ayahuasca start setting in. Now, this is an effect that I had like nothing I've ever experienced up until this point. So my body goes really heavy. My body becomes really heavy. Like, my face resumes a position that is just the only way that is comfortable for me in that moment. And my face is just like one eye is like half open, my mouth's like twitching and stuff. And I just felt so comfortable. At this point now, I've got no conception of time or space. I have my sick bucket in my hand because, like, I must be purging at this point. And I'm sitting there thinking, is my sick bucket in my hand? Is it because I don't know. I'm feeling it. I'm reassured because I can feel some plastic stuff, but I can't. It was just weird. And my sick bucket was my best friend. It was my best friend. I think I called him Henry. Like, we had a relationship and he had my back. He had my back. And then at this point, I'm sitting there thinking. So first was anger, then came understanding. In this moment, have got so much sympathy for Tom because I understand that whatever his experience is, it's outside of his control. So he can't change what he's experiencing. He probably could, but in that moment, he didn't have control over his experience. It made me think back to my mum's situation. It made me understand. And at this point as well, you've got everybody speaking out. Everybody's starting to have their own experience. You've got some people in the corner laughing their heads off. You've got other people in the corner sobbing their hearts out. You've got people making weird noises. And it's like a jungle of life just all coming together. It was fucking beautiful. And again, like, I'm in this position and my face is just like, my body's twitching, like it's doing this whole crazy stuff. My belly's like rearranging things. Like, at one point I felt that the medicine was in my womb, like,
and whatever was happening, none of it made sense. Whatever you think that you need is not what you need. It's your ego talking to you. What you need is life, yeah? And life was living itself through me in those moments, and nothing made sense, but everything made sense.
And like my face as well is twitching again. I'm releasing like emotional baggage in my face, like I'm just releasing it. And in this moment as well, I'm thinking about my life, and I'm thinking, like, why am I not crying? Like, why am I thought that I needed to come here and release all of these emotions that I have towards my mom, and I'm not crying, and like, what's wrong with me? And then in that moment, obviously there's people like crying their hearts out in the background. I'm like, I'm strong, I'm grown, you know, I'm strong. And I felt so strong, and I realized that everything that's happened in the past regarding my mum, I've already forgiven her. The only thing that I struggle with is when somebody makes the same mistakes on a daily basis, and they're not changing. And you know, like, and then I got acceptance. I understood that why I was angry. I understood, like, in the past, like when I was in the Amazon and my mum texted me and there was so much anger there, I understood that it's okay to be angry. It's okay. You can't diminish, you can't push aside your feelings because they're there to tell you something. They're there to guide you. And in that moment, I just realized I accept my situation. I accept everything for what it is. And then now I'm looking around the room, yeah. So at this point, I feel like part of my intentions are coming true. The first one was to release any emotional baggage, which I felt like I do. And now the next one was to face my fears. Now I open my eyes, yeah, and I'm looking around the room, and I am seeing a different dimension on our planet. It sounds fucking crazy, but this is my experience. Like, I'm looking around the room and I'm seeing these like dark entities, yeah, and eyes, and they're just like sat there, just looking looking around, just like watching in awe, like what is going on? What is this shit? Maybe they were aware that I could see them. I don't know. And then I have this, one of the facilitators, I can't remember her name, but she came over to me, and at this point she was an alien. She was an alien, like an avatar alien. She just had this like primal print on her face. And she came over to me and she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I can just see things. It's different, but I'm okay. She's like, okay. And then I go back, and then at that point I realized that the only one that's creating my fears is me. The only one that's creating my struggle is me. The only person that is giving me so much expectation, or the only person that's making me feel guilty for my circumstances, the only one that's putting pressure on myself is me. There's nothing to be afraid of, because when you see life for what it is, there's an understanding that comes with it, that you just know everything is okay and everything is interconnected. And when I was seeing these spirits, I just felt like there was this unified moment of like life. And it was just beautiful. Like, it didn't feel wrong, it didn't feel right. Well, no, it didn't feel wrong. It did feel right, but it just felt complete. That's the only way that I can explain it. And then in that moment, I realized there's nothing to be afraid of, because you can only be afraid of the things that you give your consent to. And I just felt safe. And then in this moment, like, we had gone on some excavations. Is that the word? Excursions. We had gone on some excursions with a tour guide by the name of Raphael, and Raphael was talking to us about the Incas, and obviously like the Incas are the ancient people that used to live in Peru first, before the Spanish Inquisition, I think it was. Don't quote me on that. But he was talking to us about how the Incas, how they looked at life, and he was saying that they believed in Mother Earth and the Heavenly Fathers, and the duality between these two entities created the cosmos, and it creates everything else within that space. And then I started thinking about the mountains, and how the mountains, they don't judge the hills for being small, and the hills don't judge the mountains for being beautiful mountain gods. And then I realized, like, it is what it is. Life is what it is. There's no point in judging a situation as to why is it not this way. It just is. And then in this moment came complete acceptance and came understanding. And I'm crying because I'm thinking about how beautiful the world is. And I'm crying that, like, I believe as human beings, sometimes we are born with amnesia, and we forget our past, we forget where we came from, we forget what we're here to do, and it's within our purpose to find out that path. And it may be completely different to Tim or to Harry, do you know what I mean? It may be completely different, but it made me forgive myself for allowing these small things for allowing a mountain to become a molehill. Or a mountain to making molehills out of mountains. Mountain and molehill. I don't know. I think you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, it was a very enlightening experience. It was very beautiful. It was very profound. Yeah, that was like the highlight. That was like the accumulation of the whole experience from ayahuasca for me. But one thing I will say, and I know I've been rambling on for a very long time, but one thing I will say is that it is a process. It doesn't stop when you get home. If anything, it makes like integration, like they talk about, like when the ceremony's over and what you should do and what you should expect. And the reality of the situation for me is we live in a very messed up world, and it is very easy to become part of the system. It becomes very easy to be a sheep and then question the shepherd when he's telling you where to go. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it is within our divine right to know what we are, what we're capable of, and what we should strive towards being. It's been very difficult integrating from a very deep spiritual situation, coming back to the reality of what today is, because it's very restricting. And maybe it's not restricting, maybe it's our mindset that has been encouraged or enslaved in a certain way. To believe that certain things aren't possible. But mate, it was an experience nonetheless. Like, I would highly recommend going on a trip like this. I highly recommend going on a trip like this, but with very less expectations, because I feel like the one intention that we should all focus on is getting to a point of happiness within ourselves and loving ourselves, because when you can love yourself, you can learn to love others in the right way. I wish you all a fabulous day. Thank you if you stayed with me to the end. Obviously, like, subscribe, and comment. All that bish, cringe as F. But yes, it's your girl Jen. Peace, love, and happiness.